Is your debt causing you sleepless nights? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. And your debt won't be the only thing keeping you up at night. Debt KO, free, impartial advice on all your debt.
This is UMAR AHMED for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. I'm joined by the Haymaker on a huge fight week with Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce live on BT Sport this Saturday. Who better to ask than the former cruiserweight and heavyweight king, David Haye? David, let's start with Daniel Dubois. If you were coaching him going into this Saturday, what would your advice be to Daniel for this fight?
My advice would be you need to avoid Joe Joyce's onslaughts. You need to find a way to slow Joe Joyce's punch output. Joe's got an amazing punch output. When he's allowed to land, he builds momentum. The more punches he throws, the more momentum he gets, the further and longer and harder he can go. So trying to break that pattern, when you break the pattern by landing clean shots and coming off the line, I'd definitely focus a lot of my energy on going through the target. So, Dubois has this youth and this one punch power confidence for a reason. He's knocked everybody out effectively who's hit on the chin with that right hand. The only guy to go the distance, Kingpin Johnson, he wasn't really trying to mix it up with Dubois. He was happy to hear that final bell. Great veteran, been there, taught him a few lessons in there about pacing himself, about opening people up. So he learned some lessons, although he didn't get the knockout. I think that points victory that he received to Johnson was actually a good thing for him. It alerted him to not everyone could be knocked out. I've had the same thing where I fought someone and I could have forced a knockout, but I would have probably broke my hands in the process. And that might be the same case for him. So sometimes you may have to win a fight on points, but he's learned that lesson. So he needs to concentrate on what his coaches are saying. His coaches clearly know what they're doing. The Bowers brothers know what needs to be done to get everyone at the Peacock has, got him to this position here now because they know what they're doing. I've never watched him before. He needs to do that, or he's not doing that enough. Jab's nice. The body works fantastic. I keep saying to everybody, his left hook to the body. No, I don't really hear anyone talking about his left hook to the body. But, Mike Tyson was the last guy who I thought, that left hook to the body was what, that opened up the uppercuts, for instance. Let Mike Tyson throw a right hook to the body, left hook to the body, and then left uppercut. He does some, Dubois does that a lot. But most people focus on the long range punching when but his close inside work is really, really impressive. And if Joe Joyce wants to come inside and start mixing with him, it could be pretty ugly pretty quickly. So both fighters need to be wary of the other's power.
Well, you mentioned Dubois' left to the body. Of course, the only time we've really seen Joe hurt in the ring was against Brian Jennings when he threw that left to the body in the first round. So I'm sure Daniel and his team will be looking to exploit that. Yeah.
But also, Joe Joyce's team are not stupid. They saw that. They know the only time he's ever shown any real sense of, I've been hurt here, where you take a few backward step. I've never seen, even in sparring, I've never swhen Joe show any signs. I genuinely thought you could run up to Joyce and hit him over the head with a baseball bat and you'd break the bat. That's when I've seen Joe, I'm like, he's that tough. And to see him feel that body shot, it's like, there's a weakness there. So I'm adamant his team would have seen that and they'll be doing loads of conditioning work, loads of core work, medicine ball stuff. They'll be punching all around his ribs, all around. So if he is to get hit with that shot, there's some conditioning there, so he shouldn't feel it as bad. But you're right, it gives Dubois' team confidence that that left hook. Let's just keep sticking that left hook in because he might be able to take it for the first 4 or 5 rounds. How about when his punch output is really high and he gets a bit tired and he's breathing in and out, you can't contract the abs, and then you get hit. Energy bar goes down. So anyone who has a granite chin like Joe, everyone has a weakness somewhere, and I think maybe that just showed it just a tad there at that point. But maybe if that wouldn't have happened, he wouldn't have done the conditioning work that he's going into this fight with. So I think it's beneficial for Joe as well to have gone through that situation, because it alerts him to what you're only as strong as your weakest link. If your weakest link is you can't take body shots, you need to figure a way to take body shots, otherwise you're never going to make it. And the fact that he felt that, I think, is a good thing for Joyce. It gives him a better chance in this fight, particularly because Dubois throws such a good left hook to the body.
And someone you know well in Joe Joyce, if you were coaching him going into Saturday, would you advise him to keep it long as possible this fight, David?
Yeah, he's got a great jab. He's mixing up when you go do the long range work and when you get busy inside. But Joe's got a really nice jab, and the jab to the body as well. It's a long raking shot and it's quite safe. But if it's too predictable, it can be countered with an overhand right. Because he does throw that jab to the body really well, and when it does hit somebody in the solar plexus, they know about it and it keeps them at bay. And Joe Joyce wants you at bay so he can let those long range punches go. So I definitely try and keep a nice distance and try and. It's all about the feet. This fight, who can get their feet into range and leave themselves in a good position to throw quality punches. And Joyce, when he's on his last fight, I was really unimpressed with what he did against Wallish. I wasn't impressed with the way he went about the whole thing, and I'm sure when he watches it back, he won't be impressed either, or his team won't be impressed. But I know he should have beat Wallish way. He shouldn't have taken any real punches in that fight, but he did. So I think this time he realises I can't do what I did in the last fight in this fight, because I can't afford to take 3 or 4 right hands, or left hooks in the first round from Dubois, because he's a legitimately world-class puncher. So he should be taking into this fight, a sense of I need to plan this fight out. Although we all as fans just want to see 2 guys get in there and just start swinging for our entertainment, I get that, but for a fighter who's 35 years old, who can't afford right now to have a loss, because you can't afford to take another 2 years off. This is his time to get busy. This is his moment to shine. This should be the Joe Joyce coming out party right now. This is the one where he lets the world know, listen, I'm Olympic silver medal. I should have won the gold there. Everyone was talking about Daniel Dubois fighting for the WBO title. He's second in line after USYK, either for a vacant title. I'm going to fight in the final eliminator, or I'm going to get my world title shot. He can take that all away. Joe Joyce has the ability to take all of the accolade that Dubois has had over the last few years. It's been consistent. The same voice, the same look, the same team, the same network. He's just been gradually building his brand. Joe Joyce has been a bit all over the place in America, California, then he's back here. He's with Adam Booth, he's with Steve Rowe, and now he's been gone back to Israel. So he's kind of been all over the place. So he hasn't had any real sort of steady momentum in the right direction. But he's there and he's experienced and he knows what he's doing. He's got a great coach. He's got 2 people in the corner with him. Steve Broughton, who's been there from the start, who knows him very, very well, done pads with him, done training with him, conditioning with him. He knows him. He's had Salas as well, who's worked with him from the start. So he's got a good team in there in the corner, but it's all down to Joe on the night. Can he switch on and not let because he's going to get tagged. And that is how when he gets tagged, does he have the mental discipline to think, okay, I might feel hurt here. Do I need to show heart and just stand there and just prove that I can take it? Or do I get on my toes? Do I just clear my head? Because we've got a 12-round fight here. There's no mad rush. You could take your time. Do I want to test out the young man's energy? Do I want to see how many rounds of action he's got? Do I want to drag him into the later round? Or do I want to think, okay, I can take your punch. You hit me with your best right hand. I took it. Can you take mine? I don't know what mindset is, and I haven't been around him recently to know where his head's at. But if he does get into that mindset, it could go one or 2 ways. It could just be an absolute tear up, and it's just whoever can last the longest. And if that happens, I can see it going both ways. But Joe is very, very strong, very strong. But if he continues to take those direct, clean shots, that could sway his chance of winning big time. So he needs to be really educated with his attacks. It can't just be walking into range, left, right. It may work, but it's a slimmer chance at working. He's got to set his shots up. He's got to have a nice plan. But one thing I know about Ismail Salas is he's not going to send someone out there with no game plan. You know, he knows what he's doing. He's an expert in this game, and he would have deconstructed Dubois' style to highlight the attributes of Joe Joyce.
As you said, Daniel Dubois is one behind Alexander Usyk in the WBO. Whoever wins this fight, David, how do you think they get on with Alexander Usyk next?
It depends how they win their fights. You know, if both fighters struggle and it's a real close fight and they're both taking loads of clean shots, they both run out of energy, I'd say neither of them could beat Usyk. But if Dubois knocks out Joe Joyce, or if Joe Joyce knocks out Dubois, I'll be like, okay, that performance should be enough to, in a rough, tough fight with Dubois, or with Usyk, be enough to get it. You know, I was impressed with Usyk. You know, two of the judges had the fight 7 rounds to 5 for Usyk when he fought Derek Chisora. So, which means just one more round to be won by Derek. The fight would have been 6 rounds each, which would have been a unanimous or majority draw. So it was a close fight. You know, however you scored the fight, it was a close fight. And if Usyk is looking at becoming heavyweight champion, beating the likes of Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, do you think he would have, going into the fight with Chisora, believed he needed to win by more than 1 round? I think he would have expected to get a significantly clearer victory over Derek, which he didn't get. I had it for Derek. I'm probably a bit biased, but a lot of people, his own team had it a draw. Tyson Fury is a very different proposition to Derek Chisora for Usyk, and to win a world title is one thing, but then even to beat someone like a Dubois or a Joe Joyce, although Usyk beat Joe Joyce in the World Series of Boxing, 5 rounds, 12-round distance different. It's very, very different. Joyce can just keep mowing him down. So I don't know. I think it depends on how this fight goes. Depends on how easy the winner wins this fight. I can then give you off the strength of that fight. I'll then say, okay, well, I reckon Usyk will beat him, or I think he'll beat Usyk. So until this fight happens, I won't really know.
That's fair enough, David. What do you think about both camps sharing the same sparring partner?
Who was it? Who was the sparring partner?
So Sam Jones is signing.
Okay, so Sam Jones originally signed him. Then he went to train with Daniel. Daniel's gone back to the thing. I think it's a good bit of gamesmanship. If you want to find out what your opponent's doing, sending in a mole of some description is the way. Not to say the guy's a mole or anything, but having a sparring partner go and have a look at what someone's doing could definitely be, a strategy to see what may be coming on the other corner. So any information you can get, particularly if it's accurate, is useful in the lead up to any fight, to give yourself. In a fight where a fight's so even, if you can have a live feed to see what your opponent's doing, for instance, they had a camera in your opponent's gym to watch them on the bags, on the pads, you can see patterns of movement. You can know he throws this punch every time he rolls to the left. So you can then adjust your technique to fit whatever he's going to do. But it's a risky strategy focusing on what someone else is doing. I think both fighters are at a stage where they're good enough, or they believe they're good enough to win the fight on their own merits. I don't know. I'm pretty sure neither fighter are studying the other guy's training processes now in the lead up to it. I know it's something to kind of talk about, but I think I personally wouldn't like to have done that. I don't think I've ever done that as a sparring partner of mine come over here. I've had it in the past where I've brought sparring partners from other people to my camp. I've actually paid sparring partners, someone who's been the chief sparring partner to one of my opponents that I was coming up. I've known them, was in the training camp sparring. So I've purposely allowed them to continue training with that team to know, then all of a sudden, 8 weeks for the fight, I'll say to you, I'll pay you 3 times as much as you're getting paid there. Come and spar with me, and know that they then say, oh, he's working on this, and this. Gab's successful. So it's just more information. It doesn't make you mean you're going to win the fight. It just means you get a little overview of what your opponent, what your enemy is doing. So you can then adjust your battle attacks to work out, okay, if he kept getting hurt with body shots and sparring, nice to know. I'm going to start hammering his body. Or if he doesn't like the pace or whatever it is, I'm not going to tell you exactly what fights that was for, but it's definitely a smart move if your opponents don't know what you're doing, because it could backfire. They could show you something they're not going to do and then bring that information back to you.
Well, it's a fantastic matchup. Tune into BT Sport this Saturday night. Dubois, Joyce.
Is your debt causing you sleepless nights? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. And your debt won't be the only thing keeping you up at night. Debt KO, free impartial advice on all your debt.